Okay, welcome. So what I wanted to start with was it's just so briefly um, introduction to who I am and how the class will go today. So I'm Sarah Nelsen. I'm a yoga teacher and a yoga therapist. I work mostly online these days. I love practicing working with people who have chronic pain and or anxiety and or overwhelm, which I feel like is so many of us these days. So I like to work with lots of people and especially using gentle yoga and restorative yoga to help calm the nervous system, turn on the relaxation response. For those of you who don't know, I also have a online yoga therapy membership called Homecoming. So this class, this first class, welcome, February 1st, is the first in a series. I plan to offer the first Thursday throughout at least this year of 2024, which feels like it's going to be a really noisy year. It's already off to a noisy start. And what I've been seeing the last few years is more and more we're being inundated with like, this is how you should think, this is what you should think. And we're losing connection to our own inner voice of wisdom, our intuition. And so I wanted to create this monthly space where we could get together, we could get quiet, and we could allow some space for that voice to speak and for us to hear it. Um, as I said, we're recording this, we're practicing on February 1st, which is a super sweet day. It is the midway point between the start of winter, the winter solstice, and the spring equinox in the Northern Hemisphere. And so we are halfway through winter. In the Celtic tradition, it's called Imbolc, Imbolc. And one translation of that is in the belly. And the idea with that translation is that even though the ground may still be frozen, in the belly of the earth, things are starting to wake up. So shoots are starting to make their way up to the surface. In fact, I just saw my first crocuses in bloom a couple days ago, and it was a very sweet reminder that spring is on the way. Imbolc will be informing our practice today, which will begin with some gentle movement, a couple of restorative shapes, and then a guided relaxation meditation with a couple of questions to contemplate. So that's how I'm getting to that like inner voice of wisdom. If you like to journal, you can grab a journal and have that handy. Other props to have on hand. I have two pillows. These are just pillows from my bed. I have two blankets, and I really do suggest those four things, two pillows, two blankets. If you like to do your relaxation with your legs up on a chair or ottoman, you can have that as well. But this practice can be done in bed, in which case you'll use those pillows under your legs, perhaps, and you don't need a chair or ottoman. Okay. Let's begin. So we'll start with a little breath practice. I invite you to recline. Um, I didn't mention this before, but I've got a whole layer of like a squishy mat and then another mat and then a blanket. I would love for you to be as comfortable as possible. You could have a pillow behind your head and one under your knees if you wanted. Or anything else that would make you comfortable here. And then, wait to see my hands. Hands, arms more comfortable than mine are. Out to the sides, palms are up. And we'll do this breath practice where on the inhale, with your hands resting down, you think about widening your fingers. Now you're not trying to like super extend them, but a gentle widen. And on the exhale, a gentle closing towards a fist. And coordinating that movement with your breath. Letting your shoulders relax. And being okay with whatever breath you have today. So if it's a little bit shorter than you'd like, that's fine. As we practice, it might lengthen. And I thought one way we might honor Imbolc as we through our practice today is by letting our movements be somewhat vegetal. And so just with this hand movement, can you imagine your hands are like flowers opening on the inhale, sucking up some sun. Exhale as they close back down for the night. Again, with each exhale, let those shoulders relax. Let your jaw relax. At any time during our practice, if you're wanting to help to focus your mind, you can come back to this breath, moving your hands or one of your hands with breath. Another breath or two like this. And then just resting your hands. We'll come to some gentle movement. And again, with that idea of how can we move more like a plant might move. I'm bending my legs, my feet are resting down, feet hip width or more apart. As you sway your knees from side to side, can you do this without a goal of touching the floor, but maybe more of a goal of wheat or grass swaying with the wind, the breeze. And noticing if and how that changes the movement for you. Does your head want to get in? Maybe your head wants to move side to side, either with your knees or in the opposite direction. And the next time the knees come through center, taking a pause there. If it feels okay for your shoulders today, reaching your arms up, fingers pointing towards the ceiling. And on an inhale, reaching hands up, letting your shoulder blades kind of round around the sides, towards the sides of your body. Exhale, hands come down, shoulder blades relax. And just moving like that a few times, as long as it feels okay in your shoulders. The next time you exhale, let your arms float down. If it's comfortable, the knees come in towards the chest. You might rock a little side to side. And then I'll offer you this movement of arms and legs with breath. You might choose to only move the arms or only move the legs. So know that's an option. The knees stay, if you're moving the legs, the knees stay in towards the chest. The hands come down, palms down on the floor or the bed. On an inhale, arms lift up, fingers point towards the ceiling. And on an exhale, hands float down, legs reach up, not trying to straighten your legs here. Inhale, arms lift, legs bend. And see if you can bring maybe the idea of seaweed moving in the water to this movement, worrying less about what it looks like, and even worrying less about the breath exactly with it. And maybe your arms widen a little bit, maybe your legs do. Allowing your body to move like seaweed in the ocean. Nice. When that feels complete for you, let your feet rest back down, let your arms rest down. Take a pause. We'll come into our first restorative shape. So in the restorative shapes, we will hold them. They should ideally feel really supportive and comfortable and cozy. It's one of the reasons I love doing practice in bed. So we'll come onto one side. We'll do both sides in time, so it doesn't matter which side you start with. Have some head support as well as a pillow or a stack of blankets in front of you. Take a pause in your fetal shape. And then your bottom leg will lengthen-ish. It doesn't need to be straight. The top leg will bend and rest on your pillow. If you had a bolster, this would be a great place to use a bolster as well. And you want your knee to rest on the support, even if your foot hangs off, that's fine. Wiggle around, see if you need a blanket to cover your body or some extra support underneath your body. And then as you're ready, just sinking into the support. Eyes could be closed or softly focused. Sometimes I like to just kind of stare out a window, that's fine. And as you rest here, just know that sometimes rest is hard. If it was easy, I think we'd all do it a lot more. It's somewhat counter to the society that most of us live and participate in. but it's such a sweet antidote to things like pain, anxiety, and overwhelm. Sometimes, if we can pause long enough to let the physical body relax, then the mind can relax as well. And as you rest here, you can always come back to moving your hand with the breath if you want. Now, you can stay just as you are if this shape is super cozy and you're happy here. You could come into a really slight upper body twist here by bringing your upper hand to your hip, fingers and thumbs pointing towards your belly, relaxing your elbow down, and then just rolling that top shoulder open a bit. I am in no way trying to get my elbow to the floor of the bed here. And if you've opened up into this twisting shape, then in the next breath or two, you'll roll back onto your side, untwisting. We will all bring the bottom leg up and take a pause in a fetal shape. And then you'll take a couple breaths just to turn, rolling over onto the other side, bringing your pillow with you so that you have that leg support, but just starting in your fetal shape. And then lengthening the bottom leg, lengthening-ish, bending the top, resting it on some support. And settling into this side. I didn't mention on the first side, in addition to just in my body feeling like a really cozy shape, this is also a shape that can help release the tailbone, the muscles that are connected to the tailbone and the sitting bones. You might feel that, but you might not, and it still could be happening. As you rest here, if you find your mind really extra busy, maybe planning or worrying, you might come back to that breath of opening and closing your hand. You could also imagine that you could one at a time just set those thoughts aside. Sometimes I imagine that they're petals on a flower, and I'm standing on a bridge over a river, and as a thought comes up, I pluck a petal and just let it float away. And if you wanted to try opening up to that twist on this side, subtle twist, the hand comes towards the hip, and you just relax your elbow and roll that shoulder open a bit. Your head might roll. Bottom leg and hip still planted. Top leg still planted on the pillow. It might not feel like much of a twist, but we're twisting that. One of the least flexible parts of our spine, the upper spine between the shoulder blades, right around the heart center. I sometimes imagine I'm wringing out my heart here. If you've twisted, taking a couple more breaths in your twist. And eventually meeting back up in that same shape we started in. And then we'll all rebend the bottom leg, come towards that fetal shape, resting here. Now the next shape we'll do, and the final shape before our guided relaxation, will take a little bit of effort to set up. I will show you how to do it, and then you can decide for yourself. So this is called Meadowbrook pose, and the idea is that our bodies are kind of like this Meadowbrook. So I'm going to choose to use my pillows to support my knees, to give them a little extra height, and one folded blanket for my head support. So folded to whatever height would be most comfortable. And then this is probably the trickiest bit. Want a little bit of a lift for your upper back, kind of that same area we just targeted with the twist. So I'm folding my blanket like so. I'm putting the clean folded edge up towards the top of my space. And then on this, take your time getting into it. It takes some trial and error. My legs are gonna rest on my pillows. I'm gonna come down onto elbows, and I'm looking for like the tips of my shoulder blades to rest on the folded blanket. Actually, a really good indication is the blanket right under my armpits, so my arms can be out above the blanket. And then once you come into this, you might decide, oh, I need more or less head support, more or less leg support. You might decide to make this blanket lower as well, and that's totally fine. So take your time. And then check in, see what your body might want for more comfort. Maybe it's a blanket covering the body, a sip of water. If you have eye pillows or sandbags handy, you can add those at any time. Notice if your hips or glutes are holding extra tension. Invite them to relax. And going with this idea of celebrating Imbolc and kind of the thawing out. You might imagine your body as a stream that's thawing. Maybe it's been kind of stiff for a while, but as you rest here and as you breathe, the body starts to soften. The energy flows more easily throughout the body. Again, this would be a perfect shape to come back into the breathing with the hands if you choose. Like any shape we do together, if at any time your body is requesting that you move or change the shape you're in, please listen to that. Everything I offer is just a suggestion, just one option of many. Checking in with your jaw, releasing your jaw if it's tightened up, forehead and temples, shoulders and hips. Letting the front of your body be relaxed and move with your breath. In the next 3 to 5 breaths, you'll find a way to remove the blanket that's under your upper back so that you can come down to rest without that support. Once you do that, just noticing how the backside of your body feels, the shoulder blades, how it feels to be back in contact with the earth. Option if you'd like to give yourself a little hug here. Reversing the arms, hugging again. Mm, releasing hands and arms as you're ready. I want to give you a minute or so here to set up into a cozy, comfortable shape for a guided relaxation and contemplation. So, as I mentioned, if you're resting in bed, you might put your legs up on some pillows. If you're on the floor, you might bring an ottoman or a chair in to rest your legs on. If I was going to stay here, I'd have some head support. I'd put a blanket on my body as well for warmth. So you might have noticed as we begin to relax, the body temperature tends to go down. We get a little chilled. So setting yourself up, grabbing anything you need. I am going to stay seated. And I'm going to invite you just for a moment to let your hands rest on your belly, arms as relaxed as possible. And remembering here that Imbolc can mean in the belly. We also often talk about our intuition living in the belly, that gut instinct, gut feeling. So just noticing if that resonates with you as you feel your breath move your belly under your hands. Belly moving up with the inhale and floating back down with the exhale. If it's comfortable, your hands can stay on your belly. But if it moves your arms at all away from the floor or strains your shoulders, then I invite you to relax your arms and hands back down. So I'm going to lead you through a guided relaxation, and then that'll follow with a couple of questions to tap into your intuition. And I'll leave some silence between the questions. And I want you to remember that sometimes all we need is to ask the questions, and the answers will come in time. So maybe later in the day, something will pop into your mind or via a dream tonight. So I invite you to not stress yourself out if like racking your brain for an answer. These answers don't come from the brain. They come from in the belly. It can be nice to allow the questions to germinate. I find that the more I practice creating space to hear my inner voice of wisdom, the more I'm able to hear. So, to begin, I invite you to remember that feeling of when you walk out of an over air conditioned building, you walk out into the sunlight and the warmth. It's kind of like going to a movie theater in the middle of the day and it's been so dark and so chilly. And you walk out and your eyes kind of blink in the sunlight and the warmth starts to hit you and warm your body. And your body starts to relax, even if you didn't realize you were holding tension. But as soon as that light and the warmth hits your skin, your muscles start to let go. We'll work with cultivating that sensation now by imagining a warm light overhead and feeling your muscles release as the light shines on and warms your body. Starting at the top of your head, feeling the sensations of warmth and relaxation at the top of your head, then spilling down the back of your head, spilling down your forehead, bringing warmth and relaxation as the light travels. The warm light hits your closed eyes, and the eyes sink deeper into their sockets. The warm light hits your nose and cheeks, spreading relaxation. As the warm light hits the joints on either side of your jaw, your mouth and tongue relax. Mm. Imagine the light could reach all the way into your ear canals towards your brain, bringing warmth and relaxation as it goes to the outsides of your ears, the insides of your ears, your ear canals, and deep all the way into the center of your head. Let your brain feel heavy, warm, sleepy, relaxed. Let the warm light spill down the back of your neck, the fronts and sides of your neck, warming and relaxing the muscles of your neck and throat. Imagine the warm light shining on your shoulders and feel your shoulders melt down just a bit from the relaxation. Let the light spill down both arms from the tops of your shoulders to your elbows, to your wrists, to your hands. Imagine warm light dripping off of each finger and thumb. Let the light shine all the way down your back, warming your shoulder blades, your low back, your pelvis. Now let the light spill down the front of your torso, starting with the collarbones, moving towards your chest and belly. Let your whole torso feel warm and relaxed. Feel the warm light on your hips and notice your hips relax, letting go of any habitual gripping. Let the light spill down your legs, bringing warmth and relaxation to the fronts and backs of your thighs, your inner and outer thighs, your knees, your shins, your calves. Feel your feet in a pool of warm light, feeling each toe and the spaces between each toe, relaxed and warm. Let the soles of your feet feel the warmth of the light and relax. Your whole body is warm and relaxed. Now think of the seeds underground that have been lying dormant. As the soil begins to warm, they start to send their roots deeper into the earth, sucking up nutrients. Their tender shoots begin to rise up, heading towards warmth and light. Not all seeds produce the shoots. The right conditions are necessary in order for a plant to grow and to thrive. Ask yourself, what is germinating in me at this time? What is germinating in me at this time? You might notice if something comes up and you immediately dismiss it. It's usually your brain taking over. You might see answers in images or memories, feelings, sensations. What is germinating in me at this time? And whether you received an answer to that or not, a second question to think about: how do I create fertile ground in my body, mind, and spirit in order to support what wants to grow in me? How do I create fertile ground in my body, mind, and spirit in order to support what wants to grow in me? Watch for any messages that sound a little bit too much like self improvement, wellness culture, messages that have come from outside your body. You're welcome to take a minute or so here to make a note of anything that might have come up that you want to remember. Honestly, sometimes I just make a voice memo, um, so I don't have to do the work of writing something down, but I want to remember it for later. I want to thank everyone who joined me live for this. I'm going to come up and stop the recording and then offer space if anybody has anything they want to share or questions they want to ask.